Hello, good people, and welcome to Hillbilly Cat History, Donna Presley's Graceland Timeline, where today we set the record straight about the dates that Donna was at Graceland and what she might have known about, and what other people may not have known about when Donna was there. And we're going to do that as soon as we come back from this song, which is Face Me Like a Man.
I hear him loading up the stories, I hear him dialing up the dates, I hear his brothers turning witnesses to the pain he couldn't shake. Says everything he got from him, but I can hear the hurt behind it like a crack of blame. Dave's boiling blood is pounding on the gates of Graceland, shouting, "Face me like a man," but never knowing he was hurting. He left town in the night, not to hide, just to breathe, but they took it as a knife, as a wound they couldn't leave. They say this life, they say they stood their ground, but he was burning from the inside, and they never heard the sound. Face me like a man. He gave love and friendship every chance, but it slipped right through their fingers, ship and swallowed by the cracks of time. Sabotage his name, gonna sabotage in their own pain. They loved him, yeah, he knows it, but they love the legend more than me. Friends calling every friend Elvis ever had, asking dates, asking stories, turning memories into shrapnel for a book full of worries. Says he wrote it for the money, then he says he wrote it out of love, but love don't come with lawyers and a push from up above. Dave bursts in a gumboat on his hip, says he ain't here to hurt, just wants to look him in the eye and hear the words again. But the wolves were in the fall, the wolves they never saw. They saw the jumpsuits in the spotlight, not the threat behind the wall. They say they knew his shape, they say they knew his fall, but they only saw the surface while he was screaming through it all. Face me like a man. He loved and friendship every chance, but it slipped right through their fingers, ship and swallowed by the cracks of time. Sabotage his name, gonna sabotage in their own pain. They loved him, yeah, he knows it, but they love the legend more than that. He called red when he knew the book was coming. His voice was shaking like a sinner in the pew. He wasn't angry, his heart was broken. He was scared of losing those with whom he shared the truth. And when the radio said his name that August morning, they pulled their cars to the side of the road. They cried, they froze, they remembered the man they couldn't reach anymore. Face me like a man. He was dying in slow motion, trying to hold the world together with a heart that lost devotion. Sabotage my name. No, this was always a two-way flame. You loved him, yeah, he knew it, but you couldn't see the man. Never meant to lose you. You were never meant to run. He didn't want to face the ending of the story you left.
Thank you for gathering here at Hillbilly Cat History, where we remember together and listen for the echoes. And today there's a lot of echoes out there saying a lot of echoey things about Donna Presley, indicating that her timeline can't be true because she's not in any books. There's no books that mention Donna Presley. Is that true, that there's no books that mention Donna Presley? Well, that's not really what we're going to get into today. We're going to look at Donna Presley's actual timeline, but we're going to start on the bookshelf like we always do. We got a non-Elvis book, we got an Elvis book. We got to take a look at them both before we can get into today's topic. So let's look at today's non-Elvis book. It is Michael Jeck's Templar's Acre. And it's got this really interesting cover of knights in the Middle East somewhere, probably Jerusalem, thereabouts. The Knights Templar kind of implies that as well. The back has a pretty great illustration of a sword running up and down the side. A repeat of the illustration on the front. The side. It's a pretty thick book. Now, it's got some large print in it, which is always attractive. I like books that have large print inside. Makes it a lot easier to read. This is one of those giant paperbacks. It was probably out in hardback too. It says A Knights Templar Adventure, and I assume that means it's part of a series of some kind. And I don't like reading books that are parts of a series in most cases because it means I'm not going to get to read the whole story. There's other pieces I don't have of the series, but I think these are all self-contained that this guy did. Not positive about that, and that's one of the reasons, other than this giant thick size, that has kept this on the bookshelf instead of actually being read, which is why I bought it in the first place, what I intended for it. I think it was about $1. Some used place somewhere. And the Elvis book for today is Inside Elvis. And it's got this illustration of Elvis on the front. And it's written by Ed Parker. And there's an illustration of Ed and Elvis on the back. But Ed, he taught Elvis Kenpo karate, which is a particular form of karate. And he gave him some black belts in it, or awarded black belts is more precise. Elvis earned them. And Ed, he talks in this book about specifics about how Elvis earned them. And then he's got a lot of kind of unusual pictures that you don't see all the time. This book came out pretty early in the Elvis book cycles. This was 1978. So it's the year after Elvis passed away. Ed speaks in the beginning about maids that are publishing books, and he's talking about Becky Yancey, or secretaries. He talks about maids and secretaries. I think he's talking about Mary Jenkins, I think, had a book come out right around then as well. And then Becky Yancey. And then there were some others, of course, who either had a book out or books in the works. And of course, Red and Sonny and Dave had come out with their book. But Ed doesn't come right out and he does not come right out and say that he does not like that other book or that they should not have written that. He tries to give them a pass to some degree. Says that he knew them personally. He just can't believe that they did it. He hasn't come to terms with it. And yet he's out here publishing a book about Elvis at that point. Probably should have taken a stance. That was my feeling about this part of but he's telling us how he really feels, and I guess we can't discount that either. But if you are very interested in books written by people who actually knew Elvis about Elvis, that's one of the ones you want to try to find. It's long, out of print. Francis says that was a good song. Thank you so much, Francis. I appreciate it. And Francis asked, does anyone know if Elvis and Chuck Norris ever did karate together? Well, what I know is that Chuck taught Priscilla karate. And that Priscilla brought Chuck, I don't remember the event, but she introduced Chuck to Elvis at it. I'm thinking it was one of Elvis's Las Vegas concerts, but I don't remember that part of the story off the top of my head. I told it on the channel a few months ago, But yes, they met, but they never, as far as I know, actually traded any karate blows or anything like that. They might have made a couple of stances at each other, but they didn't get into a dojo together, if that's what you're wondering about, to my knowledge. So if anybody knows if Chuck Norris did get into a dojo with Elvis, let us know, because that'd be fascinating. But I do know he taught Priscilla karate, and he met Elvis through Priscilla in that way. And now let's slide on over into the reason we're all here, the Donna Presley timeline. And so her timeline, it kind of starts with circle G, which is why I've got this G up here. But it does start before that. And Donna, who we can see pictured here, is Donna K. Presley Early. She was born in 1950, and she's one of Elvis's first cousins. And first cousin is a description of proximity by blood or genealogy. So it's basically saying that Vernon, who was Elvis's father, had a sister whose name is Nash, and Nash had a daughter that is Donna, and that makes Donna Elvis Presley's first cousin. Now, in a similar manner, Gladys Presley, Elvis's mother, she had a brother named Travis, and Travis had a son whose name was Billy Smith. And that's why Billy Smith is Elvis Presley's first cousin. It's just a description of genealogy. It doesn't describe who was closer to Elvis in his heart, or who was the number one cousin. It's just a description of genealogy, how they're related. And Jeff says another karate instructor. Yeah, there were a few, but Ed was a special one. He was a bodyguard too. And Cheryl says that she's late. Gets lucky if she can make one live a week, but she's been watching the president at Graceland. Trump is at Graceland? Really? Today? That's amazing. I'm going to have to watch something about that. But welcome, Cheryl. Thank you for coming. And so this is who we're getting to know today. Donna K. Presley. And her name was at one time Early. A lot of people want to bring that up. They also want to bring up Pritchett. Her name was also Pritchett at one time. And that's because her mother, Nash Presley, married a man named Earl Pritchett, who was Donna's father. So Donna's birth name was given as Pritchett. Nash is the youngest sister of Elvis's father, Vernon. And while growing up, Donna spent her summers at Graceland. Now, what does that mean? Well, we're going to get into that. And after Elvis passed away, Donna worked at Graceland. Now, what does that mean? Well, we're going to get into that too. We're not just going to throw things out here and let them hang. We're going to look into each one of them. Hi, Terry. Thank you so much for coming. Appreciate seeing you here. Francis says that Billy also had a brother named Bobby, but he passed away. That's true. I'm trying to keep it simple for the purposes of this broadcast, but nothing is simple in these relationships, and there are many, many more people involved. But right now, a lot of people are focused on Donna and Billy. And Cheryl says that President Trump was at Graceland. He just left and he signed a guitar. That is incredible. And Francis is asking why I was there. Well, to sign a guitar. I mean, that's, wow. Pretty neat. I guess probably because Bush went there and Trump never made it in the first term, so. But we can't let this broadcast get political, so we got to get this back to Donna. Donna has children, and their names are Jamie and Stacy. So that's just a little bit about Donna there. Now, let's make this relationship a little bit clearer. How exactly is she related to Elvis? It's hard when I just talk and I say it to visualize this. So up on the screen, we've got a visual. Right smack dab in the middle of the screen is Elvis Presley, born in 1935. And just above Elvis is Vernon Presley. He was born in 1916. He's Elvis's father. Now, a sharp mind might notice Gladys Presley is not on this chart. So how can this chart be correct? Well, again, I'm keeping it simple. We're trying to get it down to just the people that are currently in controversy in the Elvis world. So Vernon, well, he had a mom. A lot of people do. His mom's name was Minnie Mae Dodger Hood Presley. She was born in 1890. She's Elvis's grandmother, Grandma Dodger, Grandma Minnie Mae. We've also got her mother. Turns out she had a mom too. Her mother's name was Mary Louisa. They called her the Duchess, Warren Hood. She was born in 1850. Now, I'm not a math genius, but I think that means she was 40 years old when she had Minnie Mae. That's pretty amazing in and of itself. And she lived until 1945. She was 95 years old. And she was married to a man, and his name was William Harrison Buck Hood. He was born in 1852. He's Elvis's great-grandpa. And they had more than one child. Minnie Mae wasn't it. In 1876, which is a lot of years before Minnie Mae, they had a boy named Harrison J. Hood. And he went on to have children. Now, he's quite a bit older than Minnie Mae, so he's having kids a lot earlier than Minnie Mae. And he has a daughter, Sarah Alice Hood Hacker, born in 1908. She's Elvis's first cousin once removed. And then there's Ripple Sue Hacker Hardesty, 1935, Elvis's first cousin twice removed. That was Sarah's daughter. And then Sarah's daughter had a daughter, Edie Hand. And that makes Edie Elvis's first cousin thrice removed. Now, does that mean Edie wasn't as close to Elvis as Donna? Well, clearly you can see that on the chart. I'm just kidding. The chart doesn't prove anything. The chart only shows how these people were related genealogically. And so Edie has stories and they link her to Elvis, and Donna has stories and they link her to Elvis. Billy has stories and they link her to Elvis. And all of these people's links, well, they're basically equally accurate if taken at face value, and there's no reason not to. They're all cousins of Elvis. But there's other people that wrote books. And that's one of the things I hear all the time. Like this guy we're looking at on screen right now that just passed. That was Red West. He wrote a book. People look at that book and they say, well, Donna's not in that book. Well, that's probably a good thing, right? That Donna's not in Red's book. But Donna can't be real because she's not in Red's book. And they look at the books of these other people who have written these books. Even someone like Ed Parker. Well, he didn't mention Donna either. And Ed lives in Hawaii. And if the guy who lives in Hawaii doesn't mention Donna, or I guess he really lived in California at that time, but there were different places he lived. But if he doesn't say that Donna was there, then she can't have been there, right? It's all kind of ridiculous, but here's what Donna has to say about the Memphis Mafia. Donna said there were so many people in there who didn't want the people who really loved Elvis to be around him because they were so afraid we might get something they thought they were going to get. It's sad, but it's true. Now, those of us who have been following this program, we know this is true because we've seen this reflected in everybody's account about Elvis, from family members to the Memphis Mafia to others, that they noticed when Elvis was giving something to someone else. They noticed very much, and for many of them, it was an issue. These people weren't as close. Well, I have once again been disconnected. Second time today. Weird again. If you cannot hear me, you may have to refresh to hear me, but it doesn't make much sense to say that, does it? So I put it in the chat. You may have to refresh to hear me. I don't know why I'm getting kicked out all of a sudden. I'm going to have to check all the Wi-Fi stuff again. And Francis says that all Elvis channels need to get along. Elvis fans are just waiting to enjoy Elvis's music and learn more about him as a person, and there needs to be peace. I agree with that. We need to get these facts out here so nobody has to argue about them or throw around innuendo like we had with that hair sample thing that we've already looked at. But Donna says that Uncle Vernon didn't always approve of what Elvis did, and a lot of times he thought people used Elvis for financial gain. I know that he was right. I think there were some people who used Elvis just for what he could give them. I think eventually Elvis knew who they were, and he knew they were using him. Now, Donna said this 30 years ago. This wasn't something she said this year or today. She said this 30 years ago. Now, Donna has a sister. Her name is Susie. Her full name is Karen Sue Pritchett, at least before she ever got married the first time. Or I don't know how many times Susie was married. I know she was married at least once. But her name was Karen Sue Pritchett. Everybody called her Susie. She was the daughter of Earl and Nash Pritchett. Just like Donna, she was Elvis's first cousin. In other words, Donna, Susie, Patsy Presley, they all have the same amount of Presley blood as Elvis does. But Susie, she also spent a great deal of time at Graceland when she was growing up. And after Elvis passed away, Susie also worked at Graceland. And Susie says, I've wanted to say it for years. I want to say it loud and clear. The Memphis Mafia didn't want us around Elvis. And that's something Susie said 30 years ago. So again, these aren't new feelings. And Elizabeth says we do need to defend against those who lie about Elvis or talk about his personal things that are not meant to be let out. And Frances says she totally agrees that some people definitely took advantage of Elvis's kindness and generous heart. And Cheryl says vindication will come for Elvis. And Danny, hi Danny, he says, you know why Elvis changed name to Bob Joyce? And when he signed the first autograph on the picture, yeah, I gotta tell you that Elvis is not Bob Joyce. Bob Joyce is not Elvis. I hate to be the one that breaks that. But unfortunately, you gotta say it a lot on YouTube. And Elizabeth says, if no one defends him, as for these last 40 to 50 years of people talking bad about him, so he definitely needs someone to defend him. We need to illuminate the truth is the way that I see it, so that's what I do. I come out and I illuminate facts that all of these people should already know. A lot of them are researchers. Now, someone else that's in this story we've already talked about, that's Edie. And we're not really going to talk any more about her today other than how we showed how she was related and how those relations, even though we can see them on paper this way, they don't define who Elvis loved. And proximity to Elvis doesn't define who he loved. And he didn't have to see you all the time to always love you. There are many people that only met Elvis one time, and yet they felt a deep connection to him, and he seemed to feel it with some of these people. If not everyone. Think about that treasure box that he kept, that jewelry box with all those little trinkets. Some from people he never actually met. But Edie's full name is Edith Mae Blackburn Hand. Now, they both, Edie and Donna, looked at Minnie Mae as their grandmother. And of course, Edie was a little further away from that, but, genealogically, if we look at the chart. But Minnie Mae felt to Edie like her grandmother. And Minnie Mae is Minnie Mae Presley. She was Elvis's paternal grandmother. She's the mother of Vernon Presley, Vester Presley, Nash Presley, Delta Presley, and Gladys Presley. Now, Nash got married and she became Nash Pritchett. Delta got married. She became Delta Biggs. And Gladys, the sibling you never really hear about from the Presleys, because this is not Elvis's mother, Gladys Presley. This is Vernon's sister, Gladys Presley. She became Gladys Dowling. And Grandma, Minnie Mae, also known as Dodger, she lived at Graceland with Elvis. And Delta started living there not too long after they came back from the army, from the military in Germany. And then Delta lived there that entire time as well. Now, on Minnie Mae's birth certificate, her middle name is spelled M-A-Y, which is the traditional May spelling. But at some point, she changed it to M-A-E. So I just love this because it's an example. Jesse didn't spell his name the same all the time either, the man she was married to. Sometimes he spelled it with an I-E at the end and sometimes with just an E. Sometimes he spelled Presley with 2 S's and sometimes with 1 S. Minnie, she was fluid about Y or E and just eventually settled on E. M-A-E, Minnie Mae. And so that just shows you how amorphous spelling was at the time. It didn't really matter. What mattered is how you said something. And Jeff says if Elvis wanted to disappear, he thinks he would have thought of a different, dignified way than becoming Bob Joyce. I gotta say, that's not the greatest plan, if that was the plan. And Francis says, would love to see what was in his trinket box. So I did an episode a few days ago where we looked at some of it. We've got some more to look at in the future. Now, what Donna has to say about Minnie Mae, she has many, many lovely things to say about Minnie. And I've pulled out this one humorous story. I don't want you to walk away with the impression that this is the only kind of story that Donna tells about her grandmother. This is just a story that's both humorous and it shows us who Minnie Mae was. It's a very deep insight into Minnie Mae herself. And the fact that Donna has this deep insight into Minnie Mae, well, it kind of destroys these stories about how she didn't spend any time at Graceland, because that's where Minnie Mae was. She didn't really know any of these people. She wasn't close to anybody in the family. All the stuff that you hear. So what Donna says is that she was talking to Minnie Mae, and Minnie Mae told her this. She had never kissed my grandfather or any other man on the lips. Can you imagine? 5 kids, but never one kiss on the mouth. I was absolutely floored. When I asked Minnie Mae why, she says when I asked her why, she said, it's unclean. So Minnie Mae saw kissing another person on the mouth, on the lips, as unclean. Now, I've seen a lot of pictures of Elvis, and he's kissing a lot of girls on the lips. And that makes you wonder what Minnie Mae saw when she saw those pictures. She had an unconditional love for Elvis. But she's also revealed to Donna that that's not a form of affection that she ever engages in. She doesn't kiss people on the mouth. And she sees it as wrong in a way. And so that's an interesting look at Minnie Mae. But it also shows you how deeply Donna knows the Presleys. Now, Donna was married. She was married to a man named Buddy. Who is this guy, Buddy? Well, it was Buddy Early. That's why Donna had the last name of Early. She was married to a man named Early. But Buddy's real name was Bobby O'Neill Early. He was born October 13th, 1958. Now, Donna was born in 1950. So she's a little bit older than Buddy. And they got married in 1979. Now, how did Donna meet Buddy? I wonder if this will come as a surprise to those who believe that Donna didn't spend any time. Well, let's look on screen real quick. That's Earl and Nash. They're going to flash by in a second, but that was Donna's family on screen. But let's get back to this surprise we got for people who think that Donna didn't spend any time at Graceland. How did she meet Buddy? Buddy was a security guard at Graceland. Now, Buddy, he actually has a quote about this. I've got it here somewhere. Let me look. Yeah. Here's a quote from Buddy about his job at Graceland, being a security guard. And this is something that Buddy said 30 years ago. Because, of course, Buddy's gone now. Buddy said, "Part of my job description was to watch after Lisa. That was no easy task, especially when she would get on that blue golf cart Elvis bought for her. In fact, she took the canopy off the top of the golf cart when she ran in under a low branch on a tree. But she was just like any other girl her age. She was a sweet and fun-loving child, and we all loved her." And you know, when Buddy said this, no one came out and said he was lying. And that's describing Lisa sometime between the ages of 6 and 9. So Buddy was working at Graceland in the 1970s. Probably 75, 76 at the latest starting, maybe 77. And then he's married to Donna in 79. So Donna married a man she met at Graceland. Now, that wasn't Donna's first marriage, but Donna did marry a man she met at Graceland. Did she meet that man at Graceland because she wasn't at Graceland very often? Kind of hard to argue that one out, isn't it? So all the people that want to believe Donna wasn't there and can't possibly know what she's talking about, including other cousins, which is just so disappointing. They'd say anything derogatory about Donna. Well, it's obviously not true. Because everybody knows about Buddy. They're constantly throwing him in Donna's face. So let me see. So in August 1958, Donna was 8 years old, and she lived with her parents and her siblings in Missouri. And in August 1958, that's the same month that Gladys Presley passed away. That is the worst event of Elvis Presley's life. He is at his lowest moments right then. If he ever needed family, he needed them in that moment. Of course, Donna's 8 years old. It kind of mirrors when Elvis passes away and Lisa is 9 years old. Of course, Donna wasn't as close to Gladys in any way as Lisa was to Elvis. Not making that comparison. It's just that there was a loss in the family. Here's a child in the family that's at that age. And then Lisa is going to go through that same experience, multiplied many times, in 20 years later, basically. And of course, Donna's only 8, so she can't really provide any comfort for Elvis. But what she says is when Aunt Gladys died, Mom and Dad went to Memphis to be with Elvis. So Aunt Gladys died, and what do Nash and Earl do? Well, they jump in the car, and they drive from Missouri to Memphis. So when Aunt Gladys died, Mom and Dad went to Memphis to be with Elvis, Uncle Vernon, and Grandma. Susie and I were children, so we stayed with my dad's parents until they came back home. I know from the things Mom told me after she got back. All right, this is an important point. Things her mom told her. Now, that means this is not first-hand information. But Nash is gone, so we have no other way to look into Nash's mind, other than for Donna to say, this is what I remember my mother telling me. That is not as strong of evidence as first-hand account, things that Donna actually saw, but it's still a form of history, and we can't deny this. Now, the typical denial is she's lying, and then they link it to she's never been at Graceland, but in this case, she's saying, I didn't go to Graceland. My mom went to Graceland. And she's very open. I did not see this openly. I was 8 years old, and this is what my mother told me. She says, Elvis had lots of family that loved him, but this was about his immediate family. He had a mother and a daddy. He had no brothers or sisters, so his parents were his whole life. Everything Elvis did, everything Elvis bought was for his parents. His life changed after that. There was always a sadness in Elvis after that. You could see that sadness in him. After his mother died, Elvis said he hoped he died before his father because he couldn't handle losing another loved one. And that sounds exactly like something Elvis would say as he grieved for Gladys. Something he might have said with Vernon sitting right next to him and Vernon nodding along with his arm around Elvis. Of course, Vernon's probably thinking, I hope I go first. But that's why he's nodding along. It's the same thought. And Nash is bringing this thought home and telling it to Donna. Now, is it when she's 8 years old? I'm imagining they probably talked about Elvis multiple times. I don't have any way to prove that. But this is what Donna said, and this wasn't something she just made up today. This was 30 years ago. And of course, she'd been saying it before that. That's just the date of this particular statement. And Elizabeth says that is really sad, and that she's sure they were both thinking that. But the other important thing to gather from this story is that when something happened in the family, Earl and Nash responded. This is what the family did. There was a crisis, they all gathered. Especially when it's a crisis for Elvis. He's the family patriarch at this point. Even though he's not the oldest one, anything that happens to Elvis affects the whole family, even those that aren't living with him. And they respond to that ripple effect. And then in March 1960, Elvis returns to America from military service in Germany. And Lynn Edge, who wrote the book Precious Memories, along with Donna and Edie Hand, she says that in March, after Elvis had returned to Graceland, that Nash gathered her two girls and they headed to Graceland. At the end of the bus trip, so they went by bus, they caught a cab to the mansion. Ordinarily, they would have walked in the back door. They were family. They normally just walked through the back door. That's what family did when they came to Graceland. But the taxi let them out at the front door. So Nash and her two children, they walked up to the front steps and they rang the doorbell. And Donna says Elvis answered the door himself. He was dressed in a black shirt and black pants, and I remember thinking that he was very handsome. We hugged and kissed. So the two girls, she says, we hugged and kissed Elvis, and then went to Grandma's room. So Donna would be 10 years old at this point. And her sister, I think her sister was younger, but I'm not sure. But they both run off to, Susie. So she's younger. They both run off to Grandma's room. That's what kids do. They say hi to whoever owns the house, and then they run off to whoever they are really there to see and go to play with. And that's Grandma. It's not Elvis. So at this moment in 1960, certainly Donna is not close to Elvis, but that doesn't mean she doesn't love Elvis or Elvis doesn't love her. And Elvis is certainly close to Nash. All right, it's dropped me again. Not sure what's going on there. Hopefully you can all still hear me. And then Donna says that I would go down and spend my summer vacations from school at Graceland. 2 weeks before school would let out, I would head for Memphis. I always was so excited when the time would begin to get close. And Elizabeth says she can still hear me. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. So Donna says, I would go down and spend my summer vacations from school at Graceland. 2 weeks before school would let out, I would head for Memphis. Now, what does that mean? It means in her head, she began to believe she was in Memphis. That's where her heart was. 2 weeks before she got out of school, she's already living this life in her head that she's at Graceland. That's how much she wants to be there. And then she says, I always was so excited when the time would begin to get close. I would start packing a month before the time we had to leave. I'd have to take my clothes back out of the suitcase to get ready for school. So she basically packed all her clothes away into the suitcase. Then she'd have to take it out every day to go to school. She's that excited to go to Graceland. And Carissa, hi Carissa, I don't think I've seen you here before, so welcome to the program, says Elvis's necklace should have said TCF because all he did was take care of that bunch. He took care of a lot of people, that is true. And Donna says, at Graceland, the maids did everything for me. All I had to do was ask, and they'd get it. Back at home, I'd left my brothers and my sister with a lot of chores. They didn't appreciate it much, but I enjoyed it. I had a great time. My cousin Patsy, who is Vester's daughter, and I would go swimming and laugh and talk. I always had a lot of fun at Graceland. So this is when she's 10 years old, she says. It's basically starting in 1960. She begins spending a couple of weeks or more during the summers at Graceland. She doesn't define how long it is. Now, I used to spend the summer at my grandmother and grandfather's in Tennessee when I was a kid, and that usually meant 2 weeks. And it felt like a whole summer. And believe me, to my grandparents, who had me and my brothers and sisters, and I had a lot of brothers and sisters, so there'd always be a few of us there, it seemed like a whole summer. And then we'd trade off with some of the other brothers and sisters, and they'd stay and we'd go back, right? So it was a whole summer for Grandma and Grandpa. Sometimes we'd stay longer, depend on what year it was. We'd also do things like go to vacation Bible school. That was usually a 1 week event. It felt like the whole summer. You would swear it was the whole summer. We would go to camp at a national park for a week. It felt like the whole summer. So I don't know when somebody says they spent their summer vacation, how much does that mean? It's usually like a couple of weeks or less. But maybe she spent a couple of months there. But that does give us a way to go back and look and see why she doesn't show up in any of the Memphis Mafia books. Were they at Graceland in June and July each year? I don't think they were. There was a lot of years where they were not. They were doing 3 movies a year in California, and some years they didn't return. They only came back like once or twice. So some of the time Donna spent at Graceland, the Memphis Mafia wasn't there. Elvis wasn't there. The people who wrote the books, they weren't there. And none of them were in Minnie Mae's room, which is where Donna spent her time. And Francis is asking how old was Donna when Lisa was young and at Graceland. Well, Lisa was born in 1968. And Donna was 18 years old. And Donna got married her first time. I'm having trouble tracking that one down, but I think it's around age 19. So it would have probably been the next year. Might have even been inspired because Elvis had Lisa. And Cheryl says that she did the same with her grandparents, and the summer visits were awesome. But if you think back to being a kid, everything you did in the summer, even the stuff that only lasted like 2 days, it was a whole summer. And when you told people the story, I spent my summer doing this. And that's the way it is when you look back at it. Even now, it's not a lie. You spent your summer doing that. And I remember whole summers reading one book, trying to get through it. That might have been 3 days. And Carissa says that Donna is 75 years old. I think it's 76, but yeah, right in that territory. Now, let's look at... This is something that's going around that they like to throw up and say, Patsy Presley says Donna's a liar. So let's take a look. I don't even know where this comes from. Somebody's copied it out of something, but when I ask them, none of them could tell me where it came from. So it's just a clipping that runs around the internet. I'm sure it's a real publication. Be nice if we could see the whole publication so we could get the context. But somebody's asking Patsy, and this looks to be in probably 1978 or 79, that they're asking her, who works in the office with you? That's the office at Graceland. And Patsy says Donna Early, who is also a cousin. Now, if Donna got married in 79, and I'm pulling that from an internet resource, I haven't seen the wedding document, so maybe it was 78-ish. Or if it was 79, that dates this article. Donna Early is only Early if she's married. So this is 1979. That makes sense. This would be the year Vernon passed away. Donna Early, who is also a cousin, says Patsy. She came to work after Elvis passed away and was not really that close to Elvis. Donna knew Elvis, but she didn't grow up around Elvis and was not that close. Well, this is basically the story Donna's told us so far. Donna spent summers at Graceland. She didn't say she spent summers in Elvis's bedroom talking to him like a slumber party every night. She said she spent all that time in Minnie Mae's room. And when they showed up, they would run and say hi to Elvis, and then they ran to Minnie Mae. They're there to see Grandma. And she spent her time with Grandma and Cousin Patsy, who's like this cool older cousin who's taking you out to the swimming pool and stuff. I mean, Elvis he's neat and all, but he's busy. He doesn't really have time to spend with kids. And he's not that fun-loving Elvis that we would have known and loved from a younger time. He is having fun like that, but not when Donna's around. He's got other things he's doing when he's back. He's got other people he's catching up with. He's got a whole adult life going on. She's a kid. much like Danny Smith as a kid when Elvis passes away. And that's the way Danny Smith is at Graceland. He's there. He knows things. He sees things. But at the same time, he's not like super focused on Elvis. There's a lot of other things going on that fascinate a child or a young person growing up. So Patsy doesn't say anything derogatory about Donna. And she might even be protecting Donna from the press. The press has Patsy here. They're questioning her. We want to question Donna too. Should we question Donna? And Patsy says, well, she didn't really know him that well. She wasn't that close to him. There's so many different ways you could read this passage. What Patsy does is confirm that Donna is part of the family. She works at the office. She did know Elvis personally. Patsy doesn't believe she was close to Elvis. I don't think that's an unfair way to put it. I don't think Donna states that she's close to Elvis. I think Donna states she had experiences with Elvis and she had family love for Elvis. And that Elvis loved her and he showed the way he cared about her in various ways that she was in his thoughts. And that because she was younger, she recognizes now that he wasn't as much in her thoughts in those moments, but he was there in her thoughts as well. It's the whole family dynamic. People who don't have a large family, they may not be able to understand this dynamic. And then the squabbles that happen on the Presley side, they're very understandable as a family dynamic. And the squabbles in between the Smiths and the Presleys, they're even more understandable. But that's where we gotta leave it for today because we've gotten through a whole nother hour. Cheryl says that Donna looks good for her age. I'll say Donna looks great for her age. And Carissa says that Donna's birth date is in January. I saw that as well, but I don't know. It's just on the internet. I hate only being able to see stuff on the internet. And Cheryl says that back then, kids didn't hover under adults' feet. We weren't allowed, and we didn't even want to. Exactly. You knew there was no fun hanging out with the adults. And Cheryl says we just wanted to go play, and we were not concerned with adult talks. Oh my gosh, what if you got stuck in the living room and then you felt like you couldn't get up and leave because all the adult talking had started and you felt like they were including you, but you couldn't stand to listen to it? I remember all of that very clearly. Now, we had a basement, so then we'd go down in the basement and we'd listen through the vents. That was totally different. Then whatever was being said was the most fascinating thing in the world, even if it was exactly the same words that you would have heard if you'd stayed in the living room. But that's the way it was when you were a kid. You're living a different life. And Elizabeth says that Donna is very beautiful and that she really loved this episode. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. I appreciate that. And Jeff says that this channel is the only channel that he walks away from knowing more and more about Elvis. And it's a kind and peaceful channel. Thank you so much, Jeff. I appreciate that. And I'm going to send everybody out of here on a song. And this song is going to be a song from Donna Presley's words. This song is He Gave Us Everything. You all keep on taking care of business.
Oh, 17, snow on the ground, Circle G, love all around. He bought that ranch, opened the gate, said come on in, let's celebrate. Tractor pulling through the snow, laughter rising, spirits glow. Both behind, wives and men, family fun again and again. He wasn't just a star in lights, he was the warmth in winter nights. kindness wrapped in velvet flame, a heart that never played the fame. He gave us joy, he gave us grace, a piano song in a quiet place, from a jack to a king. In the moonlight ring, he gave us love, he gave us wings. Circle G, where the angels sing. He gave us everything. Riding horses, legs so still, bridge and cross on the quiet hill. Barbecue smoke, stories told, moments more precious than gold. He'd ask me who I'm dating now, what I dream, what I'll allow. He cared like kin, not just a name. He lived for love, not for acclaim. He wasn't just a voice on stage, he was the soul behind the page. A man who'd sing to heal your day and laugh at midnight, lose away. He gave us joy, he gave us grace, a piano song in a quiet place, from a jack to a king. In the moonlight ring, he gave us love, he gave us wings. Circle G, where the angels sing. He gave us everything. A shadow in the night, famous face, but heart so bright. Couldn't walk the street like you and me, so we built a world where we were free. He gave us joy, he gave us grace, a piano song in a quiet place, from a jack to a king. In the moonlight ring, he gave us love, he gave us way. Gave us everything. Yes, he gave us everything. Midnight lights, rhinestone fire, Arabian suit burning with desire. He hit the stage like thunder rolls. Vegas shook and the story unfolds. Charlie's birthday, crowd went wild. He cracked a joke, then sang with style. But just before he sang "Hurt So Deep," he stopped the show and made us weep. He gave away his heart, not just a song, diamonds and gold, where the love belongs. Rings and shades from the man backstage. He healed the broken, he lit the flame. Oh, he gave away his heart, and I saw it all that night. Black in hair, the man stepped near. Elvis smiled, the crowd could hear. Thanks to you, we raised the light. 17,000 hearts took flight. Then back behind the velvet door, he gave away a little more. Music ring, a boxcar shine, a suit that held his sacred time. He gave away his heart, of love where the brave belong. Ritual gifts from the man backstage. He saved the hurt and hid the blame. Oh, he gave away his heart, and I'll never be the same. I was there, I saw the rings, I saw the light. Gave away his heart, and it burned so